silence. When Winston answered, his voice was quiet. "Not yet."
"Well, finish up then,"
Mr. Mouse replied.
"You and I can go later."
Sophie leaned her broom against the wall by the front door. Then she was off with an extra spring in her step. It wasn't that Sophie didn't like her brother. They had fun playing together. But Sophie was 2 years older. And it was the very last day of vacation. She wanted to fill it with 8-year-old adventures. Halfway to the stream, Sophie heard a rustle in the tall reeds to her right. She stopped in her tracks. "Hello? Is someone there?" Sophie called out. She perked up her ears, listening carefully. But all was silent and still. Sophie's eyes scanned the reeds. She thought she could just make out a shadowy shape among them. She squinted and took a step closer. Now Sophie was sure someone was in there. But who was it? Chapter 2. A Perfect Day. "Harriet Frog?" Sophie called, using Hattie's full name. "Is that you in there?" There was no answer from the reeds. So Sophie called again. "It's me, Sophie!" There was a rustle. The reeds parted slowly. A green eye peeked out. Then Hattie hopped out into the open. "Phew! It is you," Hattie said. "I heard footsteps coming and, well, I'm glad it's you." Hattie was shy around strangers, but not with Sophie. They had known each other for as long as they could remember. Sophie told Hattie about the popovers. "Want to come to the bakery?" Sophie asked. "We could stop at the lake on the way." Hattie giggled and shook her head. Sophie, Forget-me-not Lake isn't exactly on the way." Hattie is always so practical, thought Sophie. But she was right. The lake was a bit of a hike. "Well," said Sophie, "we have lots of time, and it's our last day of vacation." Hattie smiled. "I'll tell my mom," she cried, then hopped off toward home. Sophie followed and waited outside Hattie's house. It was built on the bank of the stream, not far from Sophie's. Half the house sat floating on lily pads right on the water. The other half was built into the pebbly bank. Sophie knew that her dad, the town architect, had helped Mr. and Mrs. Frog design it. Soon, Hattie was back, and she and Sophie were running off toward the lake.
"Please be home before dark,"
Mrs. Frog called after them. The girls never got into too much trouble in Silverlake Forest. Now and then, Sophie came home with pricklers on her tail or muddy clothing. One time, she got lost exploring a mole tunnel. But she just asked one of the moles for directions and soon found her way home. The path to Forget-me-not Lake was long, winding,